to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Speedway is unfortunately a cup-in-hand, beg-and-borrow type of sport. As a sport, we run mainly by the whim of stadium owners that don't really care about Speedway, don't really understand it. This is something that Birmingham and Newcastle have had to find out recently, and with the problems that I've been having. And of course, if you are a Coventry Bees fan, you know only too well the ultimate result of that. That's why it's so sad to hear that yet another team is to lose its home at the end of the year. Edinburgh are now looking for a new home. I wish them good luck. We can ill afford to lose them, only in Speedway.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I had heard of that this morning. It's been muted for a while, I think.
It has,
the
yeah.
site had been sort of earmarked as a place for future developments.
And
but
they're making positive noises at the moment, and I hope it works. Then as I say, we can't. It's a big team, Edinburgh.
Big club to lose, yeah, big city.
So,
so hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that we get some positive news on that very soon.
Well, every one of us been and had a little bit of a rest away.
Yep.
Some of us further than others.
I know, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, one of us to Turkey,
Come
the
on,
other to
you wanna
Wales,
see
and the
my
other one
tan?
to Stratford.
You just want to see my tan, don't you? That's what it is.
No, not particularly.
No, please
okay.
don't get undressed
Okay.
again.
Yeah, but that was for fun.
Right, so welcome back to the Speedway Tavern, everybody, after our 2-week hiatus.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Isn't that,
I don't know.
is that near Cuba?
Somebody will tell us. Can you tell everybody how they can get involved?
Okay, so if you're on Facebook, you can listen to us on Facebook. That was quite funny.
Okay.
Okay, so just search for Speedway Tavern, and you'll find us on all good Speedway pages. You can also find us on YouTube as well. So again, search for Speedway Tavern, and we're on YouTube. And as from tomorrow, you'll find us on all the major formats. If you want to listen to us on the catch-up services, Apple, Spotify, Google, etc., etc.
And if you want to take part in any of those media, you can use the comments on there, or we have our own shout box as well, and we will read out your comments and pretend we know what we're talking about. That's basically how that works. Mixed time for Wolverhampton.
Very mixed time, yeah. Disappointing home defeat at the hands of Ipswich. Of course, no Ryan Douglas, which was always going to be a big weakness in the Wolves team. Thomas Jorgensen obviously came in as a guest who'd been brilliant the week before for Kings Lynn, but the track really was completely different on last Monday, and really just didn't get going at all. And Ipswich, a lot of heat winners in their team, and I think in the end it was a fair result in terms of Ipswich winning. They probably should have won by more, to be honest. They maybe threw away the extra point in the last heat by not going very strong in that last race, but it was probably a much needed result for them after a disappointing start to the season, and just maybe a little poke in the eye for Wolves. Obviously well fancied at the start of the season, but it's been a bit of a mixed bag start for us so far.
It's been a mixed bag start for pretty much all the teams in the Premiership, hasn't it?
Well, apart from Peterborough, I think they've had a shocking start, haven't they? So
yeah.
Sheffield obviously finally beaten by in a meeting, of course, last Thursday by Wolves. Although in the end the result was immaterial because Sheffield still went through
Still went through
the final against Kings Lynn. So it's been a.
And let's just say that again against Kings Lynn.
It's great. Obviously, a great start to the season for Kings Lynn as well. So it's looking it's looking competitive. But I think, as I say, I mean, the big surprise at the moment is Peterborough. They've obviously from the high of last season. It's been a really, really poor start. I mean, they finished
pretty much the same side as well.
I mean, they finished bottom of the leaderboard in the Premiership pairs yesterday on their own track, which is quite alarming. Seeing a lot of people talking about the Peterborough track as the racing there hasn't been anywhere near as good as it has been in the last few seasons. So
I've been hearing the same from Wolverhampton as well.
So I have to say I think the track has been poor at Wolves this year. The problem for me is it's been different every single week.
Right.
Very, very dusty. Last Monday. Obviously going to Birmingham last season and seeing the problems that Birmingham had at Perry Bar last year, I think the only real difference is that Wolves hasn't got the bumps that Perry Bar had last year, but that's going to be a big cause for concern, I think, and over the next couple of weeks, obviously since 2-week break now for Wolves, obviously since that last meeting against Ipswich, so a chance now to maybe do a bit of work on the track if they can and get it put right for the rest of the season.
Yeah, let's hope so, because Wolverhampton, although possibly a little bit of a trick track, if you like, it's always been a fair track. It's always
absolutely.
The surface has always been really good. So, we should tell everybody that we have a guest coming on tonight.
Yes, we have.
Okay,
It's
a world champion.
A world champion, no less, of BDO darts in 2015.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, Google. Mr. Scott Mitchell will be joining us at round about 1:15 the hour.
And of course, an avid Speedway fan.
An avid Speedway fan, raced motocross. We'll get into all of that when we get him on the show. Did you watch the Brummies versus Oxford last week?
I did, yeah. It was
entertaining match.
Fantastic result down at Oxford.
I don't
think anybody really expected that, to be honest. But
don't think anybody predicted it on our predictions, did they?
But, no, I don't think they did actually.
Not even
I think
me.
I think one person did. I think one person did. I think it might have been Elliot actually who predicted that one. But obviously Oxford reversed the tide in the meeting at Perry Bar.
I'd just like to say this though, as a Brummie fan, although they did reverse the tide, they had to do it with a tactical sub, which we didn't have. So I'm claiming bragging rights there.
It was a good meeting, to be fair. There was quite a few Oxford fans who did make the relatively short trip up the M40 to Birmingham. And I mean, Scott Nichols was absolutely magnificent, wasn't he? That was like watching the Scott Nichols of old. It really was.
He was,
absolutely in a class of his own.
We should book him as a guest.
Well, he's due to ride for Birmingham, isn't he? He's ridden for every other club.
Well, there is that, yeah.
But I think in the end, Oxford, I mean, they were behind for quite a long period of that meeting, but I think in the end they probably just about did deserve the win.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, Birmingham were handicapped going into that last race. I mean, the audible gasps around the stadium when Carl Howard's name wasn't read out for being as a rider in the nominated race. But obviously that was his own.
That was his decision.
His own decision. Again, I thought the track held up well to the conditions.
It really did.
Rain affecting another meeting at Perry Bar.
I tell you what didn't hold up well. My head out in that centre green. I was praying for it to be called off at one point. I was so wet.
Yeah.
And we should make a shout out to the people that stayed behind, and not many did, unfortunately. It wasn't nice out there. I stayed behind as much as I could, but there were Lawrence and a few of the other people, the regulars there. 4 o'clock in the morning they finished.
My life.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, we desperately need
some more stuff,
some more help, because more help, and it would be done by 10 o'clock maybe. It's just bodies that we need. So if anybody out there wants to put their back into removing tyres and sheets at the end of the meeting, it would be gratefully. I think it's going to be a bit quicker because I believe we've got a flat truck now to help load the stuff onto. So hopefully that will make.
Yeah, but I think
A
the big
difference.
revelation really so far has been the returning Aaron Summers.
Okay.
Just in Sedgman, I should say.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. Yes. You
Yeah.
had me go. Yeah.
I did,
Okay.
yeah. I always
What
get
have I
mixed-
missed? What have I missed?
I always get mixed up with them pairs.
Yeah,
so-
he did well,
but,
didn't he?
Yeah,
In
he
both
did well. He did well
meetings.
at Oxford. You know, he's sort of been written off by a lot of people when he came back as a replacement for Adam Ellis. But you certainly can't fault those two performances against Oxford. Albeit one of them was of course in a defeat. But again, you know, more. Not very good publicity for the club over the departure of Adam Ellis, with a lot of things been flying around on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be totally honest. I think it wasn't dealt with in the best way.
Yeah.
I sort of understand why, but it does leave a bit. It leaves a bitter taste in the mouth for some of our supporters. Perhaps some of our supporters that brought season tickets, but then again, they would have brought those season tickets before knowing that Adam Ellis was in, because he didn't sign until the actual day of the
practice.
press
Yeah.
and practice.
There were whispers at the time, I think, that it was only a temporary signing, weren't there? So,
I had heard the odd whisper, but I chose not to believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sedgman did really well. If he keeps up that sort of form,
Yeah.
we've got quite a bit to play with as far as getting a replacement, if we can find somebody. That's the thing. Did you watch the pairs meeting on BSN last night? No, I didn't.
I haven't watched it either, unfortunately.
Because I was in Stratford, so I wasn't able to. What did you make of the Adam Ellis incident last night in the final? Did Lawson slow down intentionally and then chopped his front wheel off, or could Ellis have shut off to avoid clipping the back wheel? Then the fence. Seems people are 50-50 on this.
Yeah, the comments I've seen on the BSF have been very, very much split on who caused that. I think Adam Ellis has been quite critical with his comments on social media about him. But you know, he sort of created a bit of a talking point in a meeting that, by all accounts,
Always one.
everyone.
Always one. Tell her to make her own dinner, will you?
I'm sorry about that. Okay, was good to see Steph was all right after his crash. Didn't sound pleasant, yet after he'd got home from such an awkward crash, and then he disappeared for me.
Again back.
He was in the workshop till the early hours to get ready for Sheffield the next night. Shows these Speedway riders are a different breed. Yeah, I think they're just mad, basically. I once asked my son, would you like to be a Speedway rider? And he said no. I said, why not? He says, because I've got a brain.
And I like brakes.
Yeah. Evening Taverners, just to say I've got you on YouTube for the first time, and it's good.
Well done.
What, YouTube
Well done,
or
yeah.
us? Dylan Spuddy said, I watched it. For me, Lawson was taking his line and he was in the lead too. I was more leaning towards an Adam Ellis exclusion too.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and obviously it's unfortunate that neither me or him have seen the incident, because obviously we didn't watch the meeting, but obviously I think at some point we'll
Absolutely.
watch it back and have a look at it ourselves.
Absolutely. So,
Give me 2 minutes.
I think we've got a couple of minutes before we
cool.
get Scott. So,
Yep.
I was just going to go and phone him up now. Who have Wolverhampton got this week?
Sheffield on Monday.
Right.
So that's going to be a chance for revenge, obviously, for that defeat in the Premiership Cup a few weeks ago. Obviously, Sheffield finally beaten, so there's going to be maybe a little bit of a psychological advantage there. But it's got the potential to be a really good meeting. I think Sheffield at the moment. Okay, Bellevue now look a lot stronger with Matty Zagar in the team, but I still think at the moment Sheffield are the team to beat in the top flight. And Leon Flint, I think, due back as well for Wolves as well. Although Joe Thompson's done very well, I think he certainly rode very, very well against Ipswich a couple of weeks ago. Didn't really get the points that he deserved, to be honest. He's certainly on the pace, so that'll stand him in good stead.
Right, I believe we have the 2015 BDO World darts champion on the line. Are you there, Scott?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Good man.
perfect. Good man, good man. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, very well. Enjoying listening to you guys.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad somebody is.
Must have been listening to me.
So, before we get on to your sort of connections to Speedway, as I said, you won the World Championship for BDO darts in 2015, beating Martin Adams. Possibly the best moment of your life, I'm guessing.
Yeah, sporting life. Yeah, obviously, getting married. In case the wife's listening, that was a great day.
Good man.
Now having the kids, I love them. They've never been a problem at 28 and 25 that they are now. So yeah, apart from that, definitely.
Absolutely. You raced motocross for a little bit.
Yeah. Then I sort of realised I wasn't really very good at that, and although I loved every second of it and the bike prep and everything, I did that for about 4 or 5 years locally and AMCA on amateur stuff. So, always watched it as a kid and had friends that did schoolboy motocross, and mum and dad sort of didn't really want me to do it. So when I got to 18, I bought myself a bike and hadn't ever ridden one. Then took myself to my first meeting 2 weeks later.
Did you ever think about perhaps giving Speedway a go?
I would love to have given Speedway a go. I really would. I think. But those of you that have seen me on TV, I've pretty much been this size since I was about 18 and 19. And I definitely have the face for radio and a figure for darts.
Right. I think we can all hold our hands up to that as well.
Absolutely,
So, also in your sporting career, you've played quite a bit of football, I understand.
Yeah, when I was younger, when I played youth football, sort of really before the youth football sort of scene was around as we know it today. I used to play for my local sort of boys brigade or my scouts or my local youth football. And at 10 years old, one year I scored about 70 goals or something. And the next thing you know, I'm getting invited up to Southampton, and this is how long ago it was. Kevin Keegan was still playing.
Wow.
So yeah, you walked into the Southampton sort of changing room, and this is what you want for yourself, kid. And yeah, it really was. But I tended to overplay, and my knees gave out by the time I was about 13 and a half. So that was kind of the end of it. I could just about manage one game a week if I was lucky. So, but I even after the motocross, I went back to football, sort of at 24, 25 years old, and enjoyed it, and still scored goals at very low league level in the Bournemouth sort of FA leagues. But I've always loved the football side of it as well. I'm just sports mad, to be honest, except skiing. I've never really got into skiing.
Good man. Yeah, it's too much snow.
Too cold.
Absolutely, too cold. I've had those Sunday mornings, pub football. That's cold enough for me. I don't want skiing as well.
No, I think you're sort of glossing over the fact that you was in 2002. You was given the Most Improved Player award.
Indeed, yes, I was. Yeah. That was at the ripe old age of 32. I was given the Most Improved Player. It did happen that my best mate was the manager, so maybe that had something to do with it.
And then you became the manager.
Yes, then I became the manager, and I absolutely loved running our local football club. We had 4 teams at the time, and I ran it for 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden, in 2007, I qualified for the UK Darts Open at Bolton, and won a couple of games, and then got to playing yellow class and sort of live on Sky on a Friday night. And then the boys came back to me and said, I went to the AGM about a week later or 2 weeks later. And when we were at the AGM, they go, yeah, we realised that you played darts, but we didn't realise you could play darts. We thought you just went to the pub. We didn't realise you were TV standard. So they didn't allow me to take running the club on anymore. They voted me out unanimously.
Wow.
Bought me my first pink and black shirt and found one of my sponsors and sent me on my way, basically.
Fantastic. And where did that love of darts come from?
We've always loved darts. We always watched it in the 70s when it was on the BBC. Mum and Dad used to watch it all the time. So, and back in the 70s, there was a bit of a recession and people didn't have money. So, we'd go to local friends really and take a dartboard round and there'd be a party 7 on the side for Dad and his mate, and they'd have a game of darts, and sometimes they'd play pairs and involve the ladies, and us as kids would be in another room with a dartboard on a chair and having a throw. So it's kind of always been there, but I've got a few few holes in some few leatherette sofas in the 70s that proved that I wasn't actually that good then.
Now, you're a Paul Pirates supporter, I understand.
I think I can hear the silent boos now.
Hang on, I've got a special effect ready for that.
Go on then.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you can't sort of like, you don't pick who you love, and so it's always been the Pirates. I've been going to Paul since I was like 2 weeks old. I think my first meeting in a carry cock because my mum and dad were mad about it, and my grandfather was mad about it. So they took my dad and his brother, and it just carried on through me, really.
Who were your heroes at Poole when you were growing up, Scott?
Honestly, it was Super Simo.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I do you know what? I met Peter Collins a few years ago. At an event, and I couldn't even talk to him. I'm still angry. Still angry. 1976. I'm still angry.
Oh well.
Exactly. What a lovely guy Peter is, to be fair.
Yes.
What a lovely guy Peter Collins is. So, the meeting him sort of like did actually get rid of years of hurt because he was just a diamond. He was a lovely person.
Right, right. Now, Dylan, I don't know whether you've seen how we do our programme, but we have people making comments on our shout boxes and so on.
Some of them are good.
Some of them good. Some of them we can actually broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jolly good.
But Dylan Spuddy Hodgett says, word has it James Pearson is your favourite rider for the pink bike covers.
Now, funny you should say that. I did actually enjoy a bit of colour one night when they came to Poole, and obviously I wear pink and black.
Yeah,
and I did rave about it a little bit, and I did. I love the race suits. Don't get me wrong; they are great, but I think when you've got your own suit, there's a bit of individuality to it, and
I agree.
And yeah, I did love James's outfit. I loved it. I kept mentioning it because it was just like mine.
Fair enough. I mean, we all think he's definitely a star of the future.
Absolutely,
and he's
absolutely.
Just turned 17 now, I think. He had his birthday the other day.
Still can't buy a drink, though.
Still can't buy a drink.
just like Mike.
And to come over from Australia at that age and then
It's a big step,
be on your own.
for someone that young as well. So.
Must be
I think
scary.
still not being able to buy a drink could prove to be a huge advantage at this stage.
Well, there is that, yes. There is that. And he seems to have his head screwed on as well. Seems to be quite level-headed.
From what I heard, obviously now that I do the bits for Pirates TV, I'm in the stands doing bits of commentary, and I don't get to sometimes be in the pits and see the riders. But from what I understand, he is a very level-headed guy, and he knows exactly what he wants, and he's very Australian-like, and he's going to do his darndest to get it.
Okay, so now, we got the questions coming out.
We've got the Scott Mitchell fan club coming
Yes.
all around now, and the coach, I think.
Does Scott think Paul should be in the Premiership?
Put him on the spot there, haven't we, sir?
You lovely people. Yes, obviously, in an ideal world, we would love to be in the Premiership. I think most fans would like that, but I can understand that us dropping down and seeing sort of more teams and more riders, and obviously the nights that we were having to ride, it didn't suit. The crowds were down, and ideally I want to see Speedway at Poole first and foremost. So that had to take priority over probably where we rode, and going back to the Wednesday nights was just a good move, and I think we've seen the sort of crowds come back, and I think the fans are actually enjoying seeing varying other riders and other teams that we haven't seen for years. So, it's proven to be a good move at the minute.
And I don't think really, when you look at it, that the standard between the Premiership and the Championship is that different these days, because I mean they're pretty much using the same riders.
There are only a few that aren't doubling up, aren't there? I mean, it's I'm sure that it must make financial sense to be there, obviously, for the club, and that's the main thing. Clubs are struggling to survive. If we look at, Somerset, they had their own track.
Yeah.
Goodness sake, and still couldn't survive. So there's some costs here along the line somewhere that probably most of the fans probably don't know about, and how the entries into the league work. I don't know about, but But if you see those sorts of clubs struggling to survive and they've got their own tracks, you then sort of have to see how the clubs like Poole, who have to hire tracks, and it must be very difficult. Be very difficult and very expensive to put a meeting on just the one night.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've had a bit of, as I imagine you have a bit of an insight into that in the past year or so, and I would not be a promoter.
No.
And we are extremely lucky to have a very astute promoter, and now in Danny we have sort of like, I don't want to be disrespectful, Danny, but like a mini me. It's like he's been brought up in the mould of Matt, and more importantly, they're from the town, and they love the town, and they love the fact that they know that the town needs Speedway. It needs Speedway. Poole is synonymous for you mentioned Poole, and we've got a harbour, and maybe Sunseekers are based there, but Poole is mostly known up and down the country probably for its Speedway team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, much like Cradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Hang on, sorry, I wasn't ready.
Was that for Cradley?
Yes.
Okay. Doing them all tonight.
Up the neighbours, we don't have that problem in Poole. We don't have those close neighbours.
No.
So you was mentioning earlier about your years of hurt vis-a-vis Simo and Peter Collins. I have a confession to now make. I have got years of hurt as well. Do you know where I'm going
We're
with
going
this?
back to 2013,
We're going back to 2013, yes. Yeah. When we finished top of the league, and then a certain team from down south decided, we'll have Greg Hancock now.
Oh that was masterstroke. Yeah, we'll call it a masterstroke. But I think I don't know how the rules worked back then. I wasn't. Yeah, I was just a fan thinking, wow, this is great. We got Greg.
Of course. And I would have been thinking exactly the same if it had been the other way around, of course. But it's still. Ooh,
hey,
yes.
Look, you've had Adam Ellis at the start of the year. I mean, that was a bit of a coup.
Yeah.
Is that a rough story? Is it?
Well, we did, but we haven't got him anymore. So.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So I gather.
So we move on.
Okay, lovely.
So
talk about putting the proverbial foot in one's mouth.
As you will find out tomorrow. Are you coming down tomorrow to watch the team?
Unfortunately not. No, busy day tomorrow, so unfortunately I can't get away to get up there. But it's a shame, really. It's one of the tracks I do want to come to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think you might have some success on the track tomorrow, but obviously I hope not.
Scott, I'm not a big darts follower, but are you still involved in darts in a big way?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So the BDO sort of ceased to exist, which is the British Darts Organisation, and the easiest way to try to explain it all is the British Darts Organisation used to be on BBC basically.
That's right. It was two, wasn't it?
January. Yeah. It's the easiest way to explain it, and obviously the PDC are over on Sky. So the PDC are the Professional Darts Corporation. So similar to golf, you have to have a tour card to be on their tour, and the top 1 to 8 receive a tour card to play on the tour for 2 years.
Right.
So I managed to get myself a tour card in January 2021. But of course, because it's a 2-year rolling table, you never really know where you are in the tour until you've been in it for 2 years, and you start losing your ranking points from the year before because it's like a rolling table. Mm-hmm. So I've been over at the PDC sort of grafting with all the professionals, the Peter Wrights and the Gerwin Prices and what have you. And I think I'm sat at number 68 or 69 in the rankings. And by sort of the end of December, I've got to be sat at number 64 to hold on to my tour card or above, obviously. So we're heading in the right direction. We're you have dips in form and what have you, but that's the main reason I've not been seen, because most of the Pro Tour events are played behind closed doors.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can we read this one?
You need to have Sky to watch it. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I'll let you read this one.
Me?
Go for it. Yeah.
Very underrated player is Scott. Although a very methodical player, I'd hate to play him personally. Would jab him in the back with a dart to hurry up. Class player, though. Oh, thanks for letting me play that. Do that one.
Yeah, it's quite funny. We've got a lot of rapid fire players, that throw really quickly. Ricky Evans was one. He can have all three darts on the board in 9 seconds. Well, to be fair, I'm not that built for speed. So people seem to think that I'm a tactically slow player. It's just the way that I've always played. And it's just a rhythm that I have with a mind coach, and I do my own thing. And once you sort of play me and work me out, then I'm probably one of the easiest players to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I do what I do to make me play. It's lovely to think that I should run around in a circle and let the other guy play brilliant and stuff me every time. But I understand that. I understand where they're coming from. It's lovely because the commentators run out of things to say about you once the 2015 stuff is done. They haven't really always got anything else to say about me other than I'm a farmer and a Speedway fan. And then once they've mentioned those three things, the only thing that they can see is me being slow.
Right.
So they mention that an awful lot. They mention that an awful lot, and then the fans pick up on that because they're watching it and they hear it an awful lot. And then, but it just, I think I've got people around me that have known me, and I've played at a pretty decent level for the sort of last 25 years, and I haven't changed. I've just done the same thing, and okay, give me a stab in the back. It probably won't move me. I wouldn't feel it. If you're no sense, no feeling. But I do understand where he's coming from. And I will gratefully accept his offer. I'm not going any faster. I'm going as fast as I can.
One thing that you've alluded to previously, Scott, of course, is that you are involved now with Paul in terms of their live streaming. I mean, how did that come about?
Well, it came about actually a couple of years ago. I saw an advert on Facebook, and it said they were looking for somebody to take over the commentary on Rerun, the DVD company that were filming the meetings. And I phoned Steve up from Rerun, and I said, "Hey, Steve, I'm Scott Mitchell, blah, blah, blah." He said, "I know who you are." I said, "All right, lovely." I said, "Obviously, you've been inundated with people wanting to do the commentary down at Paul," and I just saw it as a nice way in. It was. I'd done darts commentary and I'd done other things. And I thought, I fancy it, go at it. So I said, "I'm sure you've been inundated." He said, yeah, we've had loads and loads, Scotty, loads and loads and loads. And he said, "But you've got the job," and we haven't even been speaking 2 minutes. So I took on the standing on the first bend with cameraman Rob, with his static and with the mic plugged in the side of the camera, and just absolutely being... He didn't want me to be like a proper commentator. He just wanted me to be a fan. You just needed to know who was in the race and who won, and anything that happened in between, just do it. And I did it like a little bit like Fan Zone on the football.
Yeah.
And I loved doing it. And some of the stuff got given back to obviously Paul Speedway and to put out on their sort of Twitter feeds and stuff. And some of it come from obviously the Speedway portal at the time, Andy Haig. So. And then after 2 years, at the start of the season, Steve phoned me up and said, we Rerun won't be at Paul this year, mate. I think so. We won't be needing you. And I was like gutted because I was really getting into it. And then about an hour later, Danny Ford phoned me up and said, "Would you like to be the commentator on Pirates TV?" Which was like, that was a no-brainer. So it was like, yes, please. I've kind of got my job back. But obviously, the two very different things. I mean, with the Rerun, you saw him over the line and the end of the race, and that was that. And you had 2 minutes to have a coffee, go and get a Mars bar, do what you like. But with the live stream, you're live. It doesn't stop. Your hard work starts between the races,
and you've got to be careful.
Yeah, you've got to fill time in.
You can't keep saying that somebody's slow like people do with me at darts. You've got to find something else. So I've chatted about all sorts of things in while we've been zooming around with the cameras. We have a great team that puts it all together. Andy Haig is sort of like the producer. He sat in a dungeon underneath the stands and flicking from camera to camera. We have a couple of static cameras up, and without giving too much away of our secrets, because I don't want to do that, because I think we're one of the best live streams, so I don't want to give away too many secrets. Well, with Paul, we've got to be the best at everything, haven't we? So, we've got a couple of those. So we got Rob, who actually did the Rerun stuff with me, or I did the Rerun stuff with him because he's been doing it for years. So he's the static cameraman next to me on the start line. And then we've got Paul on a roaming camera, who is a digital feed back to. So we've got 4 cameras to switch to all the time. I commentate on my kind of own, and then we do sort of like when the riders come out, we've got Nigel Leahy, who is the track announcer and the centre green man. And then we've got our Martin Brundle of Paul Speedway World, Rob Dyer, who does a pit walk and goes up and down, checking what they're doing with the bikes and everything. And then we go back to him.
That's a great setup, really.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, I have watched the stream and it is pretty good.
I can imagine a lot of clubs must be well jealous of that.
Well, so, I mean, streaming really, Scott, it's Speedway sort of late to the party, really, in a sense with the streaming. Of course, we've had BSN now, doing matches in the championship. Does it surprise you that it's taken Speedway so long to sort of get into this business of streaming?
I think it probably has, but I don't think it's down to the clubs. I believe that, you know, maybe it was being held from elsewhere. Mm-hmm. You know, it seems that it's something that it seems very new this year. There's lots of clubs doing it, but I suppose in the end of the day, it's a lot of equipment to put together, and you've got to know that first and foremost that you can afford to cover the equipment more than anything. You know,
that can't be a cheap setup.
No,
it's like you say, you're trying to get enough people through the gate to pay for the product, and now you're trying to do a sideline. So if you do it as a sideline, that has to be kind of run as a separate business, and making sure that's paying for itself as well. So and it's some clubs will be really interested in wanting to do it. For some clubs, I could imagine it will be an absolute headache. But I think we've got a team together that really are passionate about Speedway. Firstly, secondly, Paul, although they do it elsewhere now. You know, so their passion for the filming and stuff is coming in elsewhere. I think most of the team are like at Plymouth tonight,
right,
filming. So you know, and I hope they've had a good night, because we're like anybody else. You know when you've had a good broadcast, and you know when it's not quite gone your way. And you're really disappointed when it doesn't go your way.
He's so right.
It's really disappointing. So. You know, when they go right, you know, we are high-fiving each other. We know we've done a good job, and then the good comments are coming in, and it really does lift you, because all you want to do is promote Speedway. Yeah. And you know, that's what it's about.
It's like a gig, isn't it? It's like doing a gig and you're the Axeman.
Absolutely. It's like being Craig David in concert, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm much too. I don't know who he is.
He must have some real mingers, and he must have some real great nights. He goes, "This was great." And it's the same thing.
He's before my time, anyway, Craig.
We need to sort of we need to sort of crack on now, because we've got our prediction Nigel Pearson prediction league coming up. Yeah. But I'm just going to scroll through some of the questions that have come in before people.
Can I just go to that one quickly? Going back to darts, Scott. Nick says, "Have you ever had a 9 darter on TV?"
No, not on TV. I've done 10s, but not a 9. I've done 9s at home practicing, but I've never done one live on TV or in a match, actually, in a live match. So
okay.
I'll have to get onto my mind coach about that. It must be something mentally wrong.
Let's just get through as many of them as we can. Scott, are you quicker than Justin Pipe?
Yes. I played Justin Pipe, and they were calling me Speedy Gonzalez.
Dylan Spuddy Hodgett says, "Yes, you're a lot quicker. My cat is quicker than Pipe." Can you just there was one more comment. Go the other way. Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I noticed Scott. This is Dylan Spuddy Hodgett, who's taking over the shout box tonight. By the way, I noticed Scott used to have the pool logo on his shirts. Not seeing it on the last couple. Is it still there?
Unfortunately, within the PDC, I'm not allowed to wear it, whereas in the BDO, I was allowed to show my support. So, you know, I wear it on the floor tournaments and stuff, but obviously nobody really sees it other than the other 128 players.
Best moment on Pirates TV this season was when Scott dropped his hat or something whilst in the middle of a commentary during a race in Bjarne Pedersen's farewell meeting.
Yeah, no, I didn't technically drop my hat. I was on a 3-legged stool and it collapsed.
Okay.
So if you can imagine me sat on a 3-legged stool in the stands and one leg collapsing, and I'm tipping slowly like a tree coming down without calling timber. And I went over and I have more tweets about that than I have any of other parts of my commentary.
Not everything's better at pool then.
Quite a funny moment, yes.
Not everything's better at pool then.
No.
Speedway Portal do Pool and Plymouth, and you'll be hard pressed to find someone who loves Speedway and Speedway media as much as Andy Haig loves his job and puts in so much work to promote Speedway and gets the sports supporters to see their team. Paul and Plymouth are very lucky to have such a dedicated guy working with them.
I wholeheartedly agree. We have a little group between us, a WhatsApp group between us, and we go through the good points and the bad points. The next time, then we try to come up with new ideas. This is where the dartometer came up. We came up with the dartometer instead of the dirtometer before meetings.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a giant 4-foot dart.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And he's digging it in the ground on the inside and on the outside. The lovely and amazing Nigel Pearson sent me a message to say how brilliant he thought it was. And Kelvin was just sent me a load of laughing faces and loved it. And that's all we needed. We weren't trying to. It was a slight Mickey take, but it was a tongue-in-cheek humour take. It wasn't meant to offend anybody. And when those two guys really didn't get upset after the first week, we've sort of continued with it, really.
Right. Dave Twine, I promise it's Dave Twine that asks this and not me. And we can't really talk at Birmingham after last year. How are the pool potholes?
The pool?
Potholes.
Oh, no, they're gone. Oh, you're not reading the press, are you? No,
I'm just reading the comments on there.
Yeah, we've had a big revamp of the track over winter, and it is absolutely smooth as silk at the minute. Anyway, how can you not talk about potholes and track?
That's exactly what I said.
I was thinking that actually.
That's exactly what I said. So yeah, but that has have gone as well now. So wasn't my question. Okay, don't blame me.
I love all questions, good and bad. They're great.
Don't shoot the messenger. Dave Twine, who asked it, said sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good, Dave. You're quite right to ask.
Yeah.
That's all good fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, I guess. I mean, I think we could talk for hours here.
Good indeed, yeah.
But I guess we'd better sort of start winding our way towards the Nigel Pearson Prediction League.
Yeah.
Would you like to stay on and take part?
I can give it a go. Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah,
Let's
why
do
not?
that. Yeah.
Have you got the fixtures up, Chris?
I haven't. No, sorry.
You can at least show the table, then. So.
No, let's not show the table, please.
No, let's
not show the table, please.
I can do that.
Not my fault. Somebody forgot to put the scores on.
Actually, I'll get the table up. So, okay. So the tables are.
This is good. This is good for radio, isn't it?
Can you see that now? You can see that. I know Scott can't, but you can.
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No. There's you right down the bottom, Mike, and there's me 7th, who knows nothing.
Yeah, well, you wasn't 7th last week, was you? Last time, so you've gone down a bit as well.
Yeah.
Probably more than I've gone down, to be fair. So, Yarbu socks. Right, okay, have we got the fixtures then?
I can't multitask.
Maybe I'll have a look for the fixtures on my phone. I don't know. This is really professional, this is.
Here we go.
Just while we're waiting for my two colleagues to get themselves sorted out, Scott, where do you think Speedway is at the moment? Because you'll know yourself from being a Speedway fan. You know, the one thing that Speedway supporters love doing is having a good old moan about the sport.
Yes. I a couple of years ago when I took the daughter, and my daughter comes to Speedway most weeks. I mean, she's 28, and we did a thing. We did a little thing. We stood at the gate one day waiting for somebody. It was at Swindon, funny enough, at a Swindon pool meeting, and we were saying, who's older than you and younger than me, and we were trying to count them through. And it was just like it was just ridiculous. It was like 75% the people I thought were over 50, and there weren't many under 28, in my opinion. No. So I think that's where we've lost it. I think that's where and why it's fading out. Well, our fans are now getting older, and we probably had a time during those Sky years where maybe we didn't need to push the promotion as much because the finances were already there.
Yeah.
I may be overthinking it, but I mean, I know a lot of clubs did push it and continue to get fans, but I think there's a period there somewhere where it's got a little bit lost, and we've missed a generation.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you watch some. If you watch some of those early Sky meetings in '99 to 2000, I mean, some of them were put on YouTube during the first lockdown, and you watch some of those, and the crowds are massive, and you can hear the crowds over the bikes as well. It just seemed at the time like everything was really buzzing and all going one way, and somewhere along the line we just seem to have lost that a little bit, unfortunately.
And I think when you come off of a channel like Sky, you lose that media promotion.
Yeah.
And that media push, and at that time, Sky was an amazingly popular channel in the satellite world. Let's not forget that. I mean, do they still have their standing in the satellite world with other, Disney and things taking over Eurosport? It's a question that you can't really answer, because it's only time will answer that question.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right then, should we get going with the prediction league?
Yeah, I believe I have to start this
Go
week.
on then.
Yep.
I'm presuming we start
Birmingham, tomorrow's
Birmingham versus Paul.
This is going to be an interesting one.
Okay, I'm going to say Birmingham are going to win by 2.
All right.
Don't smile at me like that. Go on, Matt.
I'm going to say Pool by 6.
I'll go Pool by 8.
And Scotty's going to say...
I'm going to go Pool by 6 as well. It seems to be our favourite score away from home.
Right.
Yep.
I'm on my own again, so I'm going to pull up on all the lot of you in that one.
Okay. Next one up is Ipswich against Wolves.
And it's your shout.
It'd be nice to get revenge on Ipswich after beating us at home. But I'm going to go for a draw. No, not a draw. Ipswich to win by 4.
I'll go Ipswich to win by 6.
Is Ryan Douglas back?
Yes.
I'm going to say Wolves by 2.
Right, okay.
Scotty?
I'm going for a draw on this.
Okay.
Good run.
It's 45-45 for me.
I thought about it and then chickened out.
Next one up, what a match this is going to be. Sheffield against Bellevue.
Is that up to me?
That's up to you, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go Bellevue by 2.
I'll say... Interesting. I'm going to say Sheffield by 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Sheffield by 4. I think that'll be a close one, though.
And Scotty?
Oh, this is tight. We've got lots of ex-pool riders in that,
Mm.
And I'm going to offend any one of them that know me. I think it's going to be a home win. I do, but I think probably by 6.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up, Edinburgh against Birmingham.
Mike? Down to me again.
Yep. Which I believe is being streamed.
Is it? Oh, I'll
think
have to
so.
watch that. Well, this is difficult for me to say. I'm going to say Edinburgh by 4.
I'm going to say Edinburgh by 8 on that one.
I'll go Edinburgh by 12.
And
Well, I'll go in the middle then. I'm Edinburgh by 10, I think.
okay, you can spot the Birmingham fan here, can't you?
Okay, next up, we're dropping into the NDL, the Bellevue Colts against Armadale.
It's up to you.
I'm going to go for Bellevue by 10 on that one.
I'll go Bellevue by 8.
I'll say Bellevue by 12.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to go Bellevue by 10.
Okay.
And Scunthorpe
Against
versus
Leicester.
Leicester.
Quarter-final of the Knockout Cup.
Is that me?
That's you.
I'll go Leicester by 6.
That's where I was going to say as well. So I will say.
I've gone by 6.
No. Sorry, Scunthorpe by 6, not Leicester by 6.
I've gone Scunthorpe by 6 as well. So on that one.
That's about a pullback thing.
Scott?
I'm going to go Leicester by 6.
Interesting.
Well done.
Interesting.
Okay, because famously Leicester haven't travelled well this year.
No, they haven't. So
But a due one.
A due one, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, Redcar versus Berwick. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to say Redcar by 6.
yeah, I'm going to say Redcar by 6 as well on that one.
I'm going to go Redcar by 10.
And Scotty?
Red car by 8 for me. I think losing to Paul up there will they'll be told to put the socks up.
Yep. Okay, then the next one is Berwick against Glasgow in the Championship on Saturday night.
Is that me?
No, that would be
That's it.
Matt.
Ooh,
Yeah.
tough one that is. I'm going to say Berwick by 4.
I'll go Berwick by 6.
I'm going to say a draw.
I'm going to say Glasgow by 4.
Interesting. I mean, it is one of those that could go either way, I think. Leicester Lions versus Scunthorpe.
That's in the
the
second leg.
leg.
Of the cup. Yep.
Up to you, Webby.
Well, I'll go Leicester by 4.
I'm going to say Leicester by 10.
I'm going to say Leicester by 12, which will put them into the semi-finals.
Mm-hmm.
I think Leicester by 8, I think.
Okay, next up, Battle of the North East, Newcastle against Redcar. Hopefully Newcastle have sorted their problems out as well with the track at Brough Park.
Yeah, let's hope so. But, however, I am going to say Redcar by 6.
Yeah, I'd love to see Newcastle pull off
Yeah,
a win,
I
but I
would.
just can't see it, unfortunately. I'm going to go for Redcar by 8.
I'll go Redcar by 10.
And Scotty?
Yeah, I'm going to go Redcar by 8 as well, I think.
Yeah, we all want to say Newcastle, but we
Yeah.
can't bring ourselves to say it.
No, no.
Kings Lynn versus Peterborough. That's up to you, Matt.
Kings Lynn by 10.
Kings Lynn by 8.
Kings Lynn by 12. Scotty?
I don't think it'll be that big. But Peterborough haven't really been turning that one. I'll go Kings in by 6.
Yeah, I mean, Peterborough have had a shocking start to the season, haven't they, really? They need to get
Yeah.
a result from somewhere, don't they? So,
They do, yeah.
Okay, Wolves versus I've lost it.
Sheffield.
And that's up to you.
That's me.
That's yeah.
Shall I go for the Wolves win? Shall I? No. Sheffield by 6.
You see, I think Sheffield as well, but I think Sheffield by 4.
do I go against my team move? I'll go for no. I'll play safe. I'll go Wolves by 4.
Is that playing
That's
safe?
playing safe, is it? Okay. Scotty?
I know how you feel about this one, because if it was Swindon versus Bellevue Colts, I'd go for Bellevue Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Wolves, actually, by 6, I do.
Good man.
Okay.
And the last one is Plymouth against Edinburgh. It's a long old drive if you're an Edinburgh fan, that is, isn't it?
Gee, yeah.
Crikey, yeah. That's got to be one of the longest, doesn't it? Yeah.
Quite far off.
Does Gary May go to all of those, or does we have a stand-in like we do? Keep the fuel costs down on the manager.
I'm not sure, actually.
Had no idea.
Well, we get...
Yeah, because
we get
Midlow
Javi
doesn't do the northern matches, does he?
No, Javi does all the northern ones.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to say Plymouth by 6.
Yeah, they've been the big surprise packet, haven't they? So
They
far,
have,
Plymouth.
yeah.
They've done really well. A decent meeting last week against Oxford. I thought I watched that match. But I'm going to go for Plymouth by 8.
I'll go Plymouth by 12. Scotty?
I'll go Plymouth by 10 then, because they've also got a great live stream.
Yeah.
As we have been discussing. Well, there we go.
That concludes this week's.
Nigel Pearson Prediction League.
Yeah.
There's loads and loads of stuff come up on. Yeah,
There's loads.
lots of
Hundreds,
predictions. Well
hundreds,
done, everybody.
hundreds.
Simon Corbett, Wolves by 8. I don't think so.
Can't see by that much. I'd like to think so, but I can't see it. I do. I mean, Sheffield will be out for revenge, to be fair, as Dylan's just said. So
Yeah.
Edinburgh aren't great anyway behind Pico and Sam, especially with Sargent now. out injured. Edinburgh's results will depend on their guests. Sarge.
Well, we're in that same position, aren't we?
Yeah.
Dependent on guests for Josh Orty. It's a crying shame that there's there isn't anybody out there to sign, is there?
That's right, yeah.
Although I think getting Justin Sedgman might.
It's been a bit of a masterstroke, hasn't it, really? So.
Well, so far it's been, and it's good to see that James Pearson's making.
It's currently, by the way, Plymouth 36, Leicester 48. So Leicester doing something on the road tonight.
So we've just been saying how good Plymouth are, and oh dear.
Yeah.
We've not said that before we were doing the score predictions, please.
I beg your pardon?
Could you have not said that result before I had to do my score predictions on them away, please?
Yeah, I think we all feel that way, to be honest. Right, well, Scotty, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm always
Been good
happy
fun.
to do these things. It's Speedway's got to be fun. We've got to make it fun, and we've got to keep it fun to keep people entertained. And you guys
Absolutely.
are doing that, so well done to you guys.
Oh, thank you
Thanks
very
very much, Scott.
Cheers. And I'd like to say good luck for tomorrow, but I can't. So,
Totally understand.
yeah.
I'll be thinking of you guys tomorrow as I'm studying my Twitter feed like mad.
Okay. Bless you. I'll see you soon, mate. You take care.
Okay,
Thanks again.
Scott.
Cheers,
Good luck.
Thanks for having me on, guys. See you
Take
soon.
care. Bye bye. Okay, well,
Yep.
What a great guest.
Yep.
Thanks.
Obviously very passionate about Speedway as well, so like we all are. So.
We need more like that, don't
Yeah.
We'll have him on again.
we?
Yeah.
It's nice to have somebody who knows what they're talking about.
What we haven't spoke about is the Premiership pairs, which started this week.
Yeah, Kings Lynn obviously making a good start.
Made a good start.
By all accounts, not the best of crowds, unfortunately.
Because people are watching it on the stream, I suppose.
I guess so, yeah. And I mean,
So-
obviously, most people probably look at it and think it's not really much of a meeting, but we've got to put these extra meetings on really for me now, because you can't just really have league matches, because there's just not enough matches in the top league to do it. I think Peterborough's poor start to the season, and the fact, again, they finished bottom of the group in their own meeting,
Wow.
on their own track, so really has not been a good start for Peterborough. One thing I wanted to mention as well, of course, obviously we saw the terrible scenes at Brandon last weekend. Of course, another major fire at the stadium. We're just keeping our fingers crossed that.
Was this a deliberate fire or?
Well, they've been taken to court, I believe, haven't they, about it again?
It is being investigated by the police. It just seems very, very suspicious that an application's gone into revert that building back into being a stadium, and then suddenly there's a big fire there. So don't really want to say too much obviously at the moment, obviously for liable reasons, but we just got to keep our fingers crossed that something will get. Somebody needs to sort something out now. I put this on Twitter over the weekend. My big fear at the moment is that with all the people that are going into Brandon, whether that's just to look at it or whether that's to go and cause damage, sooner or later, my fear is that someone's going to go in there and end up getting hurt, or even worse, and then the owners and Rugby Council have got that on their conscience. We don't want it to get to that.
No.
We don't want to get to get to that stage. But as I say, just again, please, don't go in the stadium, because it's just not safe in there, unfortunately.
Right. Well, thank you very much for your. There's been a few really nice, kind remarks on. Some you've disappeared. Yeah. This needs to be 2 hours long, chaps. To Simon Corbett.
Come and tell my wife that.
Yeah.
You know where my dinner would be? In the dog.
In the dog.
Yeah.
Well, last week you said that would be the best place for it. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Oh, you're in so much trouble.
No, you're in trouble. You said it. There's the music. Thanks again, guys. Go out this week and support your Speedway team, because who knows how long we're going to be able to do that the way things are going. Hopefully, that was just me being pessimistic. Take care, everybody. Go and support your team. Adios.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a drink, and you say all opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Where the GA and Matt are